Hello, welcome to We Have Issues. I'm Anthony,
And I'm Sean.
and every week, my best friend Stevie Wildcard and I get together and we do our best to overcome the various issues and obstacles that life throws our way. This week, my beautiful, wonderful co-host, my better half, isn't with me. So we were fortunate enough to get, I know, but we were fortunate enough to get Sean, producer Sean from the Don't Make It Weird podcast, was kind enough to join us. Welcome to the show, Sean. Thank you so much for coming. Sean, can you tell the people a little bit about yourself if they're not familiar with your show?
Yeah, my name's Sean Holden. People know me as producer Sean. I produce Don't Make It Weird, which is the writing, storytelling, comedy podcast for the writing community by the writing community. You can find us at DMIW Podcast on Twitter and on YouTube. That's where our content is posted. And my friends Daniel and Dina run the show as co-hosts, and I kind of just pull the strings in the background and edit and all that stuff. So yeah, new episodes every Monday.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show, and I was excited to talk to you because our show, for those of you joining for the first time, welcome. I know it seems to be a show about two guys making comic books, and you imagine we talk about comic books a lot. Not the case is the thing. Very rarely the case somehow. I don't know how we've gotten away with it, but your show, similarly, you say it's for the writing community by the writing community, which is accurate. But I also feel like it feels, the more and more you watch it, just like somewhere you want to be. Like it's just like a group hang where you play games and have a good time, and it's just
Yeah.
something that's enjoyable to be a part of and just to consume. And I feel like our show is similar in that way with for a lot of people like who have no knowledge at all of comic books. Like we have people who have listened to our show who have who've messaged me directly and been like, hey, I know nothing of comic books, but like your show made me kind of want to check them out a little. And then I've had people who are like, I have no interest in comic books and I still don't, but your show makes me laugh and I'm going to keep watching. I'm just like, yes, both of these are like totally appropriate and I love it so much. So like, I don't know. I'm sure you guys, I don't know what kind of messages and stuff you guys get, but I know you're pretty popular in the writing community and a lot of people seem to freaking love your show so much. But what's that been like just from start, like running that kind of thing?
Well, as you know, and I don't come from a writing background. I'm not a
Mm,
writer. I'm not an author.
mm,
I'm not even much of a reader, to be honest. I read comic books.
yeah, not with that
But
attitude, Sean.
uh, my friend Daniel came to me and said, "Hey, I'm trying to start this writing podcast, and me and this person, Dina, like recorded a phone conversation, and now how do I give it to the world?
Yeah.
How do I like put it out there so people can watch it, or actually, it was just audio at the time.
Mm,
How can we let people listen to this?" And so I got roped in that way, and as a result, I've become quite aware of the whole writing community and like what it takes to publish a book and like the different types of genres and tropes and like all kinds of stuff about writing and reading and literature that I never thought that I would know about. And I think a lot of people that watch or listen to our show aren't necessarily a writer, although most of them are.
yeah.
Um, and I know a number of people who just watch it because it's fun. Like you said, it feels like you're just hanging out with your friends.
Yeah.
Um, and our show, to your point as well, is like 75% not really directly about writing or storytelling, although a lot of it is about storytelling. I think
Yeah.
half the time we're interviewing someone who's a writer themselves, who has published something, so that's really focused on that. But when it's just the three of us, it's mostly just us having fun, and then we kind of shoehorn in a 10-minute discussion about serious writing topics in the middle of it to stay on the writing thing. But we
Oh
tell
yeah.
stories every time, so really at the heart of it, it's about storytelling, and I think everyone can relate to storytelling.
Yeah, I think we similarly, like our show ends up being about storytelling and our
Mhm.
story the way your show is about your stories, and it's like you guys always have that running joke about stealing our accountability, bit
Yeah,
as general, and that's because that's what is
allegedly.
allegedly, but
Yeah.
people show up because or I think that's part of my concern for us, and that's I kind of wanted to ask you about this, but people showed up initially to watch our journey toward making our first ever comic book, and like will they, won't they, like there it's a kind of a tumultuous journey. Things are happening. We have some issues, a lot of issues along the way, but we're trying to make our first book. We've never done this before. We're trying our best. So like watching that initial journey, I think is like it was exciting for some people, and they kind of like they stuck with us, and they're like, are these guys guys are going to be able to do this? Oh my gosh, now there's this whole like pandemic thing that's getting worse, and like, oh my, it's just like, are they going to be able to pull it off given all these obstacles? So it's like I felt like there were more reasons for people to root for us then, whereas now I feel like
Yeah.
it feels for me, or I'm scared that it's more on the rails, where I'm like, well, now we're just making, we're going through the motions making comic books. That's why the show itself is less about the making of the comic book, because that stuff is just kind of automated at this point. So I was like,
Yeah.
crap, are people not going to be interested? So then I was wondering, for you, was like, do you guys have a particular goal for the show? Or are you like, oh, we hope to get this many viewers, this many subscribers? Or like, what's your goal as someone who's not technically or hasn't been historically part of the writing community?
Well, I can tell you that that goal has shifted a number of times throughout the show. I think initially Daniel and Dina, who were just aspiring authors at the time,
Yeah.
both had their own manuscripts but hadn't published anything. They wanted to talk about writing as an author who is looking to get published eventually. And that's kind of where the conversation started. And obviously, they've both been published a number of times now. So, like,
Yeah.
it's changed. Like, that's not the focus anymore. But still, at the heart of it, the storytelling thing and like the wanting to get your work out there and wanting to be held accountable for what you're working on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
to your point, like, yeah, you don't focus on the behind the scenes of making the book as much as you used to, but it's still a core part of the show. And you still make sure to talk about it at the start and the end of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's still something that keeps me invested in the journey, is because, well, first of all, I'm a fan of the book. So, like, I want to know when I get to read the next one.
Right. Of course.
I
Yeah.
know you guys are going to publish it. Like, where there was that investment early on where you're like, wow, they're really doing it. They're really going to put this thing out there. And then you see you guys get a paper copy of the book, and then it's like, wow, it's really real.
It's
It's in his
real.
hands. Like, they're shipping it. And
Yeah.
now, like, now I don't question whether or not you guys are going to do
Yeah.
that. It's more like, I want to be a part of that journey.
Yeah, and I love that, dude. I'm so glad. And it's been so cool, like getting to know you guys and then actually becoming friends and like feel, because that's for those of you who don't know, Steven and I have been on the Don't Make It Weird podcast a few times. We've, like I wrote a song for you guys, and like, like I've done all kinds of like silly little things. But not only that, like early on, like that first episode that you mentioned with Dina and Daniel, I remember like them sending that to me and being like, hey, is this a thing? Is this anything? What do you think of this? And I was just like, oh yeah, man, you should definitely do this. This is funny. I love this. And it was just so cool because like we barely knew each other then, but they knew we had a podcast and we were doing this. So it was like, why not, contact me? But because of that, I, became better friends with them, and I met you and became better friends with you. And it was just, it's really cool to kind of build these relationships with people this way, that I never would have foreseen. So much so that like you were like the kind of finger flicking the dominoes that I was chaotically setting up in my life to lead to me making my first movie. I mean, like you're the person, like Sean, for those of you who don't know this story, I pitch silly movies on this show all the time. I was just, some ideas are ideas that I think it's very obvious that I actually want to do something with it, where I'm like, oh gosh, if this could only exist, if only I had a budget and time and like the resources, I would bring this to fruition immediately, and that's obvious. And then there are other times where I'm like, yeah, here's a Jean-Claude Van Damme vampire movie I'm not gonna make, and I wouldn't make if you gave me $1 billion. But
Make.
yeah,
Really?
but I could, yeah.
I mean,
but I'm okay, guys. What I'm saying is we need to get the Jean-Claude Van Damme vampire movie made immediately.
the point is, yeah.
That's what this. So I pitched a comedy breakup vampire movie called Stakeout, and I liked it a lot, and I was kind of talking about it and how I'd like to do something with it, and just kind of like went on the back burner, like like ideas often do. And then Sean messaged me, and he showed me that there was going to be a screenwriting contest that Kevin Smith was hosting for short films. So I was like, well, I have a whole history, like a whole itinerary, like an inventory of silly ideas I can pull from. So I was like, which one would I do? So I wrote it. I wrote the Stakeout because of the thing that Sean showed me. I wrote a script and then I posted it. I got in top 9. I got in top 10. I was number 9. very close to not making that top
Massive
10.
deal. That's so
Just
huge.
but dude, I was so excited. It was like it meant a lot to me to like it meant a lot to me just to get it done and then to actually get in top nine. I was like, yes, this is a thing, you know. But then beyond that, I was like, why not just make it, you know? And that's so I need to just make it, and it's now it's evolved and it's become this feature film, that's in the works and actually feels more tangible, even though I have nothing to hold right now. Just like I need to print out the script. I think that would feel good. I need something,
Yeah,
But yeah, dude, I can't wait. And you helped us with our live script read, which was so much freaking fun.
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, I love that. But yeah, you're the reason I did all that. So thank you. you know, um, but yeah, you're like, look at you. You show up out of nowhere on Twitter, and you're bringing these people all together. You're helping me achieve my dreams. You're helping the writers in the writing community achieve their dreams. Like, so Sean, I just have to ask you, who are you really, Sean? Who are you really?
I I didn't think I'd be put on the spot like this. Who am I really? Uh, I'm just a dude that likes to make stuff and have a good time with my friends, and that's kind of what I do. Um, I've done it with Don't Make It Weird. I've done it with your show, with Critically Stupid.
Mhm.
Um, I I like to contribute, and I like to feel a part of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And um, so yeah, that's kind of what drives me. And what it boils down to is making cool things, and that could be movies or books or podcasts or videos or trailers or graphics or whatever it is that I can get my hands on.
Mhm.
I like to be a part of it. So
Yeah, dude. And like like you are like intimidatingly good at the producer part of all of that, and like the putting this stuff together. Like for me, I am very much I don't work very well with other people like with artistic projects, because I'm such like a random improviser, and like I figure it out as I
yeah,
go. And like for me, I'm okay with just like trial and error. Like I will throw like paint on a wall knowing I can paint over it and try again. But if someone else is there, like it's hard for me to reconcile that and be like, oh no, I don't, this isn't absolute, I'm just throwing this there because I don't, crap, and it just feels weird. So I created the overlay for our show, but like you have all that stuff going live. You have like a soundboard that you use live with like effects and all this stuff, and
yeah.
like those are the sort of things that like I think are super cool. And I add like silly pictures and stuff, but that's all like after the fact, like where I'm like, okay, here comes a lobster. I'm gonna do this. I got this. I'm gonna figure out how to make a lobster go across the screen. But like for you, like watching your show, and I was like, stuff it's live, and then you have multiple overlays, and like different people being added at all different times, and you have like sound effects and all this cool stuff, and it's like, are those skills that you've had for a long time, or skills that you've acquired for this particular job?
I would say both.
Mhm.
Um, I always aspired to do something in the streaming or like podcasting realm. I just
Yeah.
never had like an idea that I thought would stick,
Yeah.
or like a group of people to do it with that like
Oh God. Yeah.
would feel the same way about it. Like I had a stream deck already, but for not really any purpose other than to like play a funny sound effect like in Discord, this voice chat with my friends. Like it wasn't a streaming thing or anything like that. It was kind of overkill for what I was using it for, really.
Mhm.
And when I started producing Don't Make It Weird, I knew that, well, I started using sound effects because I knew it would make Daniel break. And like most of the time, I know how to make Daniel laugh. And I especially like to do that when it's super inappropriate to laugh, like during a super serious thought, you know?
Oh yeah. Of course.
Um, and so like I try to not use the sound effects too much, but like when I do use it, I'm trying to like get everyone in the room to break.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And
And it works, and it's so good. And like the voice modulation is so good every time.
I used that as a joke, like one time that
Yeah.
Dina was telling a story, And then we've just done it every time since then. That's like, you asked earlier, like, what's the goal or what are we trying to do, right? Every single thing that we do on the show, I know you think it's like planned because we have a rundown. Like
Right.
we have bullet points of everything we're gonna touch during the show, but like every single thing we've created, every tradition, every segment we've created or borrowed from somebody else has
Yeah.
just been done mostly by accident along the way. And then if we like it, we just bring it back again next week. And that's why we have 20 segments every week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Because
just, yeah, just like a natural selection, like over time.
yeah, it's not something that we ever sit down and brainstorm this shit. It
Yeah.
just happens. Or Daniel is a chaotic brain who will just be like, it'd be really funny if we did this. And he'll say that in the moment. And
Yeah.
then we'll do it and it'll work or it won't work. And then we'll just do it
Yeah.
again next time.
Yeah. So for anyone watching this far in the episode who hasn't seen Don't Make It Weird, go watch some of the episodes and so you know these people because Daniel is Daniel is like a low-key hero of the show, and I just love him so much. Like because you know he's such an easy foil for everyone, and like your relationship with him, because you know the two similar to how Steven and I have known each other forever. You've known Daniel for a long time, so it's like you two have a relationship that you can't really fake. You know, it's this
Right.
really fun kind of combative relationship. Well, not even combative. It's just you and Dina just drilling. Like just the way you guys batter Daniel sometimes gets me every and like he's such a good sport about it, and yet while being somehow like the easiest target but also like the most appropriate to offend. Like I don't, it's such a weird thing because it never feels like punching down, and he's so good about all of it, and he's also
Yeah,
just genuinely funny all the time, you know.
he
So
is.
just yeah, he's just one of those like Daniel comes across as just like such a I don't know, like a sly, like charming person. Like it makes you want to be his friend. Like it makes you love him. Like he is a freaking golden retriever. It's crazy.
I've known him since shit. We've been friends for over 25 years now.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
he's always been that way.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, obviously he's matured a little bit over the years, but he's always had those personality quirks. He's always been very funny. He's always like been a good sport about being the punching bag and like almost revels in it. Like he finds like that so funny that like he almost wants to like create those scenarios where like he's setting people up to do it, you know? And he's just got that quick, his brain's faster and somehow simultaneously slower than his mouth. I don't know how to describe it.
I mean,
like,
that was kind of perfect though. It just worked.
He's so quick and yet so slow at the same time. But yeah, he's my best friend. I've known him forever, and it brings me great joy to do this with him every week and Dina. Despite the headaches that he causes in production.
But yeah, I bet. It's I mean, it's such a fun show though. Like I know you guys, you know, you say you have so many segments, but like some of them have become like absolute staples of every episode or almost every episode. You know, like the cringy compilations makes me laugh every single time. I've never watched one and been like, oh, that was a lame one. You know, like even the shorter ones, it's just like there's always something good. And you know, for those of you who haven't seen the show, they have a segment called cringy compilations where they find real life for the most part, but you know, real life you know, examples of erotica that are just the worst writing of all time. Like just I can't it's a situation in which I can't imagine it awakens anything in anyone aside from just ooh, like just like the weirdest cringe. And it's
yeah,
I can't like, and I know I'm old enough, I'm smart enough. I'm wizened now, Sean. I know that everything is someone's favorite something. I know that. I know that. Like someone has watched like the movie Clifford, you know, with Martin Short, and been like, "This is my favorite movie." Like that's someone that is someone's favorite movie. Now it could be because it's like a subjective association they have with like, oh, I watched it with my dad or whatever it may be, but it's someone's favorite movie. And that being said, the absolutely bonkers like sex scenes and you guys read on there, there's someone's that like cup of tea. That's someone's
I mean, somebody published that.
No, I
Like,
know. I mean, like everyone has to have their particular dowsing rod when they're writing that sort of thing, right? I imagine
yeah,
it's like Mr. Garrison in a South Park, just like you write what works for you, right? So I every time
yeah,
you guys read one of those, I imagine this author is really into having their testicles stapled or whatever
yeah.
thing you guys are doing. And I'm just like, this is bonkers and I love it. And it's not me at all, but it's making me laugh. And I'm so glad you guys introduced that. And it's so funny. And it's doubly funny knowing that like at least some of your parents will listen to the show. Like I like knowing that Daniel's mom will
Yeah.
listen to the show.
Daniel's mom watches every week,
Yeah.
and that's why if you watch, he often says "Sorry, mom" at least once an episode because he knows she's gonna watch.
And, like it gets me because I remember like thinking that because when we recorded our episodes and I had to say the word "come" like 16 times or whatever.
75 times, yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny. I was just like, I'm so sorry, everyone's mom. Oh
I'm
god,
sorry.
I'm so sorry. It was amazing. That was so much fun.
Yeah, we ask our guests to read the cringy compilation when they visit our studio. So Anthony and Stephen have read a number of them to our audience, and we ask them to do it without having any previous knowledge of what's
that's
in the
the
text.
yeah, that's the best part.
So they read it for the first time out loud to our audience.
God. Yeah, we've had a few moments in your show where I've just been like, this is incredible. Like I like like the few people who will watch this are like better and like they're gonna enjoy this because it was like
Yeah.
yeah, and I love that about your show and I love that like Steven and I like stumble into those moments every once in a while where I'm like just for me in the future or like my child in the future like I can't I'm glad this exists. I'm glad we've saved this moment just so I can like I'll return to this because like there's no better like scrapbook than some of these episodes that that you've done or like that that we do and it's just like do you guys ever do you think about that because I know you're a parent like do you think about your what it's going to be like as you get older and like your children like all of you and your children like visiting the show and seeing the cringy compilations and just all of it really do you ever think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. I My daughter's 11, and she's almost at the age where like she'll be watching, more mature stuff,
Mhm.
and like um she we've watched some things together that maybe I in the moment when certain things happened on screen, I was like, "Oh God!" Like
Forgot. Yeah.
I showed her Clueless
Yeah.
recently
Yeah.
because we've been watching movies that I loved when I was her
Yeah,
age,
that's the best. I love Clueless,
and
of course.
I love Clueless. I hadn't
Yeah.
watched it in years, obviously, but like, um, there's some off-color jokes, and there's like her trying to seduce Jason Priestley's
Right.
doppelganger, who's
Yeah.
actually gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so, like she might ask me questions and stuff about that every once in a while, and I treat her not like a little kid. Like I try to
Yeah.
be mature about it, but like explain to her like movies were different back then.
Yeah. It's interesting.
uh,
Yeah. I've gone through that.
I She knows that I have a podcast, and she has never watched it. She knows that there's mature content that she's too
Mhm.
young for, and she understands. Um, she does, however, like know who Daniel and Dina are, and
Mhm.
she like knows the basic concept of the show, and like she knows that you drew these little pictures of us.
Nice.
Um, like so she knows about it, but like yeah, she'll probably watch it when she's ready, when she's older later on, and I think it'll be a cool little look into like a creative outlet that her dad has.
Yeah.
She's a creative person too, and I just know that she's gonna want to stream video games or stream artwork or
Yeah.
something at some point.
Okay, Sean. I figured since you were coming on the show, I would give the people online an opportunity to ask us some questions. So we're gonna do a quick questions from the colony bit where we just go through a handful of random questions because I want to feel this out and see what people have for us. I think there are some good ones that we're gonna get.
Questions from the company. Let's do it.
Freaking love it, Sean. All right, so let's start with um okay, so Daniel Quigley, one of your best friends, says,
Never heard of
which
him.
which favorite movie scene would be the most ruined by a well-timed wet fart?
Oh God,
That's a
so
great,
many probably.
great question. I mean, obviously, like every rom-com moment where like they make that connection, Like, you know, when like they're about to like, the love is there, but it's like, when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with someone, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like, like those moments are I think a given, but I think sad moments would make a a good one.
Yeah, like I don't know why this came to mind, but like Robin Williams' speech in Miss Doubtfire to the judge about how his kids are his air that he breathes every day, like
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah,
just pleading
absolutely.
to the judge for better custody rights, and then
I
he
mean,
just rips a wet fart like in one of those pauses.
I mean, he says would be the most ruined, right? So it's like, like, what's it, my girl? He can't see without his glasses.
Oh God.
He can't see without his glasses. Just like the worst. That'd be terrible. Just unforgivable.
Oh no.
I mean, you can't handle the truth. Like
Yeah,
just
basically any court scene. I
any
mean, if we're
court
being honest.
any court scene would be amazing.
Oh God.
Wedding scenes, court scenes, any
Mhm.
serious scene. Oh gosh, so good.
Honestly, I feel like the type of rom-com I'd be interested in, like a wet fart wouldn't ruin that lead up to a kiss moment because the
Yeah,
person that
yeah,
I want to love and be with for the rest of my life would probably laugh
yeah,
in that moment.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's I yeah, I mean the person you'd want to be with for sure. Although I have to say, Sean, I've still at this ripe old age have never farted in front of anyone. And I feel like I need to do it, Sean.
Listen, but you do. The
I have to
moment that you rip ass in front of somebody you care about and they don't run away, that's
yeah.
when you know you found that person,
I think
that
that's my problem. I think
your
that was
forever
like
person.
yeah, I think that was my problem. I think I needed to do that early on. Is like that probably would have been like the last stepping stone in the relationship. Like, oh no, she's gone. I dodged the bullet with that. Like I
Yeah.
neo, like hmm, the fart tricks. I gotta like I have to start. I'm gonna start. It's
Listen,
it.
it's a real relationship test. It's like that thing that everyone's nervous about doing,
Yeah.
and usually you do it by mistake the first time, and then there's that moment where your heart stops beating, and like speaking of the Matrix, it's like bullet time around
Yeah,
you, and you're
that's
just
so
like looking at
slow.
them, and they're looking at you, and it's slow motion.
What's really funny, Sean, is like I'm so conditioned now to not do it. I'm so conditioned now to like to stop myself that like I have to do like the crazy, like almost sociopathic opposite of that, where I'm like,
Yeah,
this is gonna be the fart day. This is it. This is it. Like, yeah, this is the day. I have to plan it. I have to be like, we've been going
it's the
strong.
one thing that you put on your calendar.
It's just
And you don't even write anything. You just like draw a green cloud, like a
it's
little
our fart
tiny icon.
anniversary. I mean, it has to happen at some point. I'm gonna work toward it, Sean, one of these days. All right. So Daniel also asked, which non-action movie would make the best action movie if you included those elements into it?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I need a moment for this one because
Mhm.
like,
That's a good one. My first thought went to like musicals would be fun.
okay, okay, you got me
Musicals would be
hooked.
fun, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I like I mean really anything like anything could be happening with I mean some musicals have action in them, but I mean like Mary Poppins, I mean Annie, suddenly something goes wrong, you got some action going on.
Oh my god, bunch of orphans jump somebody. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Uh,
One of the orphans ends up to be John Connor. It's just like no, this is the best action movie ever made. The song will come out tomorrow, and so will the
oh
hero.
my god. I feel like it would have to be like I keep in my head. I can't get away from like a lighthearted like Disney
Yeah,
movie,
yeah.
but like suddenly there's this dark turn, and then like maybe there's an evil dude trying to fucking pull off a heist or something, and like I don't know, like I just see in a musical too. Like it would totally have to be a musical.
Hmm.
God, I'm trying to think of like a really good specific example, and for some reason my head keeps going back to Moana, and I don't know why.
Moana. I
I
mean,
don't know why.
I think the trouble with some of those is like they have action elements, but they're more like they're kind of subdued
Right. No,
action,
there's
or
like
like they're
action
there.
moments, but there's
Yeah.
not like it's not like there's a ton of fight scenes or
Yes, it's
like,
not like you're gonna throw anyone
you
in that
know,
into the Expendables, like
like dude, it's like Moana but with semi-automatic weapons. You know what I'm talking
I
about?
love
Like
it.
Like Moana, like you think she's going to grab the oar for her boat, but she swings a door open and it's an armory. You know what I mean?
Just Burt Gummer from Tremors, just handing it down. Gosh.
Precisely.
All right, let's see. We've all seen Anthony Dates Robots, but we've never asked which fictional robot you'd actually date. Good question.
Listen, Daniel, listener, whoever you are.
It's Daniel.
That's a really, really personal question.
It
Okay.
is. I'm gonna say I don't know if I want to be turned down by any robots, but I like the first one that came to mind was the really cool robot from Ex Machina, but also I'm not gonna try to date her. She seems like she wants to be all by herself and she should be. Like
Right,
that's
right, 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 right.
but she seemed cool. Like as far as like going out on a date and talking to her, I would love to hang out and talk to her and probably never see her again because she'd lock me in a room and I'd die, of starvation or whatever.
Right.
I don't. Oh, what other robots are there? I'm trying to think of like. I mean, obviously we can like the Terminator 3 villain, but
Yeah,
no.
she would absolutely kill you though.
But yeah, she
Um,
yeah. I mean, it might be worth it. Death by Snoo Snoo. I could. But
Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell, that piece of shit.
you know what?
Yeah.
I never watched that. I love Scarlett Johansson, but I never watched that movie.
Then don't watch that movie.
How bad is it? I probably should watch it. I gotta watch it.
It's not good.
It's not.
It's not good.
It's they get those movies so wrong. Like I don't understand it. I don't
Name
understand.
one good live action adaptation of an anime. Name one.
Okay, okay, okay. Oh God, I can think. I immediately thought of some real bad ones. Like I was like, there are so many bad
You know
ones.
why? Because there's no good
There are
ones,
no good
Anthony.
ones.
There's none.
No, I don't.
There's
I
none.
don't. I don't think there are any good ones. Are there? No, no. None come
Listen,
to mind.
I've heard from some people that One Piece was good, but I've also heard from some One Piece like manga fans that they hate it. So like,
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I tried to get into it and I could not. Like I started to, and like my son was like kind of into the anime, so I was like, yeah, I'll watch this. I got so bored with it, like really, really fast. Just the whole tone of it wasn't for me. Just the live action one. The anime is fun. It's goofy and silly, but also way too long. For me. But let me see. Fowler
what about?
asked. Oh, go
Hold
ahead.
on, hold on,
Okay,
one more.
go ahead.
L337 from Solo: A Star Wars Story.
I never saw it.
Oh, you didn't.
I never got to see Solo. Was it worth watching?
So listen, I'm not going to say it's the greatest thing ever. But as a
Word.
Star Wars fan, there were some really fun moments in it. You get to see the fucking Kessel Run, the
Right.
legendary Kessel Run. Also, fucking Lando.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name as Lando? God, why can't I
Donald
remember his
Donald
fucking
Glover.
name? Donald Glover was fantastic as Lando,
Yeah.
and his robot sidekick is L337.
Okay.
She's like the co-pilot of his ship. I say she because her voice, she sounds like a woman, but
Right.
it's a robot. And it's heavily implied that she has a romantic relationship with Lando.
Ooh, okay. So I should watch this, is what you're saying. All right. I will.
It might awaken something in you.
I hope it
warning.
does. I've
But, I
been.
mean, it's worth watching if you like Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
there's some really lame moments in it, but there's also some cool moments in it. Overall, it was an enjoyable movie. But like,
Yeah.
it's
Awesome.
nothing.
I love Donald Glover. So I mean, I honestly, of all the Star Wars movies that have come out, that's the one I've heard kind of the least amount about, but also the least negative about. You know what I mean? Like not to say it's the one I've heard the most positive about because I've heard
Right.
positive things about other movies. I'm just saying like I haven't heard a lot of complaints about Solo. I just literally didn't hear much about it.
There's not many like memorable things about it. That's
Yeah.
why. Like, it's not. It's kind of just there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the thing that exists. If you're
Yeah.
looking for a movie to watch one day, throw it on.
Yeah, why not?
Know that Donald Glover is far and away the highlight of it.
Yeah. I mean, I love that dude. He's so awesome.
And they used that movie to set up like what was gonna be a bunch of like these Star Wars story movies, and I think it just didn't do well, so they just shit canned that idea. And now I think it's all gonna be series instead. So hopefully they kind of continue that storyline that they set up in that movie. But yeah, definitely watch it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It's so sad how we do that now. How if something isn't, and I'm super guilty of doing that in my real life, so I can understand how a huge corporation could be guilty of that with like more expensive products and such. But like, yeah, it's so sad that if you don't see that immediate, instant gratification of, something being paid off, right, profiting as much as you'd like it to immediately, you just assume that it's a failure. I'm like, oh gosh, like I can relate, but oof, and whatever. I mean, I know I do that with a lot of things. I do that, like I'm trying not to do that with the streaming. Like I want to be like, I'm having fun streaming. I don't really care what comes of that anyway. So it's just kind of
Right.
fun to do.
You have to just have fun doing it. Otherwise, there's no point,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's kind of how I feel about the podcast and stuff too, where I'm like, the podcast, I know it's becoming its own entity, but it really exists as like a conduit for the comics and for like my friendship with Steven, just giving us a way to communicate and talk and like work through things. But like, there are moments where I'm like, I need this to be more successful. The podcast needs to make it, but like, oh, it
Dude,
can't.
I've been in the red since day one. I feel you.
Yeah, it's like, but I'm not gonna throw it out. I'm not gonna throw it into the garbage like they do with all these Star Wars movies. Daly says, "You owe me a poem you promised." I am a poem, Daly. How dare you?
You had one from Fowler. Did you skip the Fowler one?
Oh, did I? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you. So Fowler, you say, or you ask, you and Wildcard somehow get superpowers. What are your ideal powers, and which one of you is the sidekick, or would you be heroes in your own right? Sean, what do you think? Who do you
What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like we'd be separate superheroes. I think like we'd start working together, but we'd probably turn into separate superheroes, and then I think Steven would become a villain, is what I think would happen. I
You
think
think it
I think Steven would become Darth Jod. I think he would. I think Steven would go full Sith. And
full Sith?
oh yeah, no, he would, and I
What
love
would be
him.
the catalyst of his turn though? Like
Um,
this is intriguing to me.
okay, so it depends on his power. Is the like it depends on his power and what he gets. But I will say that Steven will very quickly turn into just not having any patience for anyone. And will yeah, I don't think Steven would kill people. I don't think he's gonna go Homelander and like shoot someone's head off, but I think he
Right.
will like bring people to a cornfield or something. Like he's not going to tolerate people just like existing in his space when he has superpowers. So like I feel like he's slowly going to become that like kid from the Twilight Zone where it's like he has this whole like kind of just region where people know no, we don't talk about that guy, he's our god. This, it will be a peaceful place, it'll be a wonderful city, but it's going to be just fascist. Like it's just Steven's gonna rule it with an iron fist, and I can say this because he's not here to defend himself. So no, and I will do the exact same thing, but slightly to the left. Like I will.
It kind of it kind of feels like this is just your actual fears of Steven leaving you because he's grown impatient of your antics
That's pretty
coming
much
to
what.
fruition through the answer to this question. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what it is. I feel like Steven's going to like recognize his own inherent power and skill and be like, I don't need this goober
He's just gonna leave you in a cornfield.
cornfield, and that's just what it is. He doesn't need me.
No, see, I disagree with you. I think that you might end up being reluctant teammates,
I think so, yeah.
as you did in life, because as we know your origin story, you didn't start out the best of friends, right?
Right?
Same with me and Daniel. We started out as enemies to friends. A very popular trope in literature.
Yeah.
I learned that. I think that you guys would start as reluctant partners and end up being super buddies like forever and ever. And I think that you guys would trade off on who's the sidekick.
We're switches.
Like yeah,
We switch. I could see that because I imagine like you said, like it would be like any classic, like the classic trope of like the strong guy and the planner and the puncher or whatever it is, who depending on the powers we get, that's gonna choose like who is what, in what position. But I feel like we're gonna not recognize one another's skill set as much as we recognize our own and not appreciate it. And then of course we're gonna have to learn to cooperate and how our skills complement one another and not negate one another. Kind of like in real life how it's we I do the bare bones and Steven adds meat to it with his drawings, and I add more meat. We just keep adding meat. We're just a meat salad is what we do. We just we make it's like
It's like you're like the Penn and Teller of superhero duos. Like you do the talking and
yeah.
he does the actual demonstration of
The
the thing.
actual magic. I'd like to say, okay, Sean, I like to imagine that like he's the one that gets superpowers, but for somehow I'm the one wearing the costume, and I'm just like, yes, we. Like, I make him fly me around.
You're on stage like doing the motions, but he's behind the curtain
He's behind
doing
the
the
curtain
actual
shooting things
magic.
with his eyes, making things fly with his mind. Like I make him puppeteer me, so I'm just like, no, I am the one. Like, I can,
That's
I
great.
I actually really I love the idea of like a super introspective, just like introverted superhero who like wants to save the day but doesn't want to be the face of the thing and does that. It's so funny. It's so
Like
stupid.
this is a deep cut, but that music video from Blues Traveler with John Popper when he's behind the curtain playing the harmonica and there's like some skinny handsome person on stage playing pretending to play harmonica.
Oh my
Yeah,
oh my god, yeah, yeah. What happened to them? Are they still going? Blues
I
Traveler?
think they are. Also, if I remember correctly, John Popper lost like 200 pounds, so
Is he?
he's healthy now, from what I understand. I
Wow.
don't know though. I haven't obviously I'm not up to date on my Blues Traveler
I
lore, but
haven't seen them in a while. Like the hook hasn't brought them back into my life. Like I
a
haven't.
shame. It's a shame.
All right, let me see. We have a couple more. Let me make sure. Um. Okay, so the David Stoker asks, he says, talk about the film that you want to make, favorite scene, and if you had to cast the film with your least favorite actors.
Shawshank Redemption. Oh, this is a new film. I'm sorry.
That's a film you want to make. You like Sean,
Yeah, I want to make Shawshank Redemption.
chomping at the bit to make a Shawshank Redemption. Like
Shawshank Redemption, but it's with my friends and it's
it's
more
the
like
Sean
Clerks.
Shank Redemption is the thing. I could see it. Also a super inappropriate movie to add wet farts to.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Just
Yeah.
all the scenes. Just I can see it. That would be oh my
I'm
god.
gonna remake Shawshank Redemption, but like from the point of view of the people who worked at the prison and how much like their day to day and how much they hate coming to work.
It's just
And
yeah,
it's
it's just like
literally
the
it's
office,
just
but
gonna
in
be
Shawshank
Clerks and
Redemption.
The
Like Clerks,
Office
yeah.
and
But
but at Shawshank.
I mean, I
Yeah.
was imagining it was like Tina and Daniel as Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. I'm not gonna say who's playing who.
We're gonna whiteface Morgan Freeman real quick.
I mean, it's the only appropriate thing we could do.
Listen,
Cast.
Daniel was cast as Morgan Freeman. He showed up in blackface. We made him wipe it off. If you look really closely in the final cut, there's a little bit of black makeup
Listen,
like
he has Joker
next to his
eyes.
hairline.
This is super inappropriate. We need to stop this.
Listen, we had a really low budget.
Add a wet fart, and people will realize this is a comedy, and we're okay. But yeah, okay. So as far as like my movie, talk about the film I want to make. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We're going to be making it's a vampire breakup comedy movie. You can watch the live table read of the short film version of it. It's down below in our our just a whole litany of episodes. Um, they ask about my favorite scene. I have a few favorite scenes that I've been like adding in over time now because I've been extending it. And like, I really I added some flashbacks because I wanted to give the ex-girlfriend character some more action and just like have her on screen more. So you get to know her before she makes her whole like debut as a person. But I have these like really fun flashbacks with her that I'm excited about, but also I think there's a scene where I don't know. Sean, do you know about the rice thing with vampires or like the counting thing? Do you know about the counting?
The counting thing. Yeah. So you went over this a little bit during the live read, I think. And I told you there's already a vampire that counts. And it's on Sesame Street. And you'll get sued by Jim Henson Company immediately.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I need to meet everyone involved.
That's good publicity. That's good publicity right there. You can't buy that type of publicity.
But it's like I wanted because like in the movie, I want to go over as many of like the popular and like lesser known vampire legends and tropes, as many as I can that can fit in a reasonable way. And like we go into the the fact that vampires have to stop and count, or supposedly have to stop and count everything that, is dropped on the floor in front of them.
If that were true, though, that would be such a game-breaking thing for
Exactly.
literally every vampire ever.
Exactly. And that's why, like, so like, that's why it's one of my favorite scenes, because like my character in it like knows this thing. It's just like, here's the thing. I have this vampire hunting kit, and in it there's a satchel of rice, and I'm gonna like I have this, like, it's gonna work. Here we are. And I chuck it, and I want it to be like this like grand moment where it slowly flies through the air, and we're like, this is gonna work, and it just like crashes at the feet of the vampires, and they just walk right over it, and I'm just like, and it creates this like really funny moment between Steven and I, where I'm like, they didn't even stop to count it a little. And he's like, yeah, rude. It's just like this, just
They
so
like
funny.
stop and crouch down and like pick up a grain of rice, and you're like, yes, it's working. And then they just throw it on the ground.
Going. Like, yeah. I there were a few moments where I was like, okay, it would be kind of funny if it just if what if I threw it and it didn't open? Because then it was like, then the vampires could be like, one, and just like keep on. So
Wait, do you have to tell them to count it, or do they just see a large number of things and then they have to stop and count it?
I think historically they just, if there's just like, it's like a Rain Man situation. If they drop, they have to be like 27 toothpicks or whatever it may be. Like I think they have to be like
Right.
like a leprechaun has to compulsively has to clean shoes that you throw at them, which they never go back to in the leprechaun movies. Like, just what are you doing, man? It worked in the first ones. Like, talk to someone who survived that movie.
That's critical knowledge to have.
It
Thank you.
really is. Like, how do you not? And that's, I mean, it's kind of like what I like playing with in this movie, is like the knowledge we have versus what actually works in the world we're in. Because that's kind of the fun of all the monster myths, is like, depending on who's writing or where the myth is, taking place, that's what's going to be active or not. Like Lost Boys has their own set of rules that just doesn't work in Interview with the Vampire. So it's
Right. And
and
Ant's character just gets this information from watching pop culture, watching movies, watching TV shows.
exactly. And it's, so, and I like my favorite moment in any given monster movie is when you're like, or same thing with superhero movies, like when a character has to learn how to use a particular thing. Like, I love the discovery moments,
Like
like
Tobey Maguire, go Web.
go up, go. Dude, like that, like, dude, like those moments, like nothing gives me goosebumps like watching Superman try to fly for the first time, like watching him run faster and faster, doing the leap, doing a bigger leap, and then suddenly he's just like off. And I'm just like, it's amazing watching that happen. If you just like cut to Superman's already flying, like, okay, cool. It's cool watching someone fly, but it doesn't have that same moment that we all like imagine, like because like, you build up to that with human moments that we all relate to. Similarly, like, we all can relate to having this knowledge of these monsters, but what would actually work in the moment, we don't know. So it's fun to explore that. Gwen asks, what is something you have wildly unfounded confidence about, like something you believe with no prep or practice you'd be able to do with a reasonable degree of competence? What do you think, Sean?
Is it just anything, or is it something that I've never done but I'm confident I could do?
Yeah, it says, I mean, she says anything. She says, for example, I think I'd be excellent at surfing, but I have zero evidence to back it up. So does something?
Okay, so yeah, so it's more like I've never done this thing, but I feel like I could do
I
it
feel like
kind
I
of
could do it.
situation.
Yeah.
I feel like I could ride a motorcycle off of a big ramp, like a big jump,
I can
and
see that.
fucking nail the landing. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Never actually rode an actual full size motorcycle.
Man,
I just feel like I could pull it off, like Evil Knievel that shit.
I love that. And I like to imagine that you could and would, and that it would be the most epic moment. I don't have that particular like I don't suffer that delusion that you're currently suffering. Sean.
Listen, I say that right now, sitting in front of my computer. But if I swung my leg over that motorcycle and saw the ramp in front of me, I'd be like, you know what? Actually, probably not.
Okay,
But
so
from
like,
where I'm sitting,
oh
I
yeah,
feel great about it.
100%, dude. So that just conjured like just like unlocked a core memory for me. So I don't know. I don't even know if I've told this memory on or the story on the podcast, but when I was younger, I was walking home from school, right? I was in middle school. My brother used to get home from school before me. So he was in elementary school. They got out a little earlier than me. My school started a little later. he would get out early, and we had like these bike ramps, like just like dirt ramps that people made, where like we go over these little jumps and stuff. So I'm walking home from school, and I look over and I see my brother, just riding his bike and like going over these little like dirt ramps, with his friends. And I stop and I'm just like watching him, and I noticed that like there are a bunch of kids kind of congregating, and someone had dug a huge pit and created these two ramps with a huge pit in the middle. And I was like, is
And
anyone doing it?
threw a gator in there, obviously, because you're
Yeah.
in Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course. I mean, they were naturally in there. Like as we dug,
Yeah, yeah.
we kept
They just
unveiling more
uncovered,
gators.
just
They were just
uncovered gators.
uncovered
They just live
gators.
underground. Yeah, okay,
That's
perfect.
yeah, they come from the core of the earth. So like so I was like, is anyone doing it? And my brother's like, no, no one's gonna do that. We're all too scared to do it. I was like, I'll do it. Like just
Hell yeah.
I was like, I'll do it. So I grabbed my brother's bike and I just start pedaling as fast as I can toward this giant jump with gator pits and everything. And dude, I had the worst slow motion this is a mistake moment in during
Yeah.
this. As I reached the summit of this first jump, the handlebars on my brother's bike as I go to pull up fall forward. So Sean, when I tell you in front of this group of younger kids, just this large group of kids all watching me confidently and idiotically pedal with just this unearned confidence toward this steep hill, and just dude, and when I tell you, I didn't ET at all. Not for one moment was I
No.
like flying like confidently or like comfortably. As the handlebars fell, just with just flew through the air myself. Like
Left the bike
I
behind and
left
just
the bike completely shot as the bike. So the bike goes. I leave the bike completely. I'm just like do 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 do, like just flying through the air.
falling with style.
Falling with stuff, dude. I land just like face first in the dirt, and as I land, I'm skidding. I turn, and the bike lands on top of me,
Oh,
upside down.
did you land in the gator pit or did you
No, I
clear
made
it?
it to the other side. Like
Yes.
yeah,
Nailed it.
I landed. I did it. I crossed that gator. I wasn't gonna get eaten by those gators, Sean. Not me.
Incredible.
But yeah, dude, that was so funny. And like I had just this rash and just cuts up my face. And I was just like, and I went to my brother and I just pushed his bike over and I was like, you have to tighten your handlebars, dude. And I was like, I'll fix it later. And I just like walked home.
Incredible.
But the thing I would do, I don't know, it's really hard for me because like I feel like I had this like I have like a jack of all trades thing, where I'm like, I don't know, like anything I would say, like, I don't know, I could probably give a TED talk on a lot of random stuff, but I feel like I also talk a lot. So that's practice. It's too much practice, I think. I'm not sure. What could I do?
What would be your TED Talk thing though? Like what would be the one topic that you feel like you could go out and do a clean 20 minutes on and get a standing O at the end?
Ooh, okay. I feel like I could probably do like insecurity. I feel like I could do like insecurities as a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right? Like I feel like I could do that one because that's just true. Like I nail it. I have enough experience where I'm like I've been living this for 38 years. I don't think I talk about it for 20 minutes or whatever. But like I feel like like something that I don't know about, but I feel like I'd be really good at for no reason. And like I'm not a good liar. And I don't necessarily have a great poker face. I feel like I could be a professional poker player. I feel like sit down at the table and just like I don't even know, Sean, I'll tell you how unearned this confidence is. I don't even know what beats what in poker. Like that's how little I know about the game of I know there are 5 cards most of the time, sometimes more. But
so the meta right now is and has been for a long time Texas Hold'em, which means you have 2 cards in your hand, but you can use any combination of 3 cards from the 5 that are on the table for everyone to use to create your 5 up to a 5 card hand.
Interesting. I could, yes. I can nail that. I 100%.
So I think you're relying on convincing everyone at the table that your hand is better than theirs without even having to show it to them.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like I would bring enough uncertainty and chaotic energy and misplaced confidence to nail it. I'm pretty sure.
I would just love to see you like showing your hand and like making up the names of hands. Like, I got three jackrabbits, baby. Read them and weep. They're like, what?
I probably would end up doing it. Like that's what it's like playing anything with a 9-year-old. You know, like my son is very much like it's like a Big Daddy where he's like, I
Yeah,
win.
yeah.
Why do you win? Because I win.
This
Like,
is bullshit.
this is bullshit. Why do you always
Same
win?
time. He win every time. Different hand every time.
So Paige asked, where would you store your extra clothes if you were a werewolf? Would you have a whole system worked out? Of course, I'd have a whole system worked out. I mean, I like it's
Guys, it's so simple.
yeah,
You just wear clothes that are 3 to 4 sizes too big for you.
yeah,
Then they don't tear when you transform. And then when you transform back, you're just some dude who wears big clothes.
yeah. And not to mention, you get to just be like a clothed werewolf. You know how cool that is? You get to be that
Yeah.
guy, that wolf. And not only that, I'm gonna wear like a freaking Flava Flav clock when I'm a werewolf. He's not gonna get that
Fuck
chain
yeah,
off. It's
dude.
gonna be the best. He's gonna know what time it is. It's gonna have a little moon on it that goes around and tells him exactly what time it is. It's perfect. Not to mention, I'll tell you, like, I would definitely create a situation in which like I have silver chains or something that would like bind me. Like I'd bind myself in like a safe place where like my clothes could stay just in my house if I like I don't have to go anywhere because I feel like every situation I've ever seen in a movie where a werewolf is like, I'm gonna go out into the woods and like let this happen naturally, it ends horribly. Like there's never been one where they're like, oh yeah, this is gonna work out.
I
Like
don't
it's
think any of them ever end well, though. Like,
no, that's true. And I feel like you know what though? I feel like it's because that's why we're seeing those particular movies. Like all of the werewolves that are just having like living a good
those ones are boring.
they're boring. You don't want to watch it. Like, you don't want that's like
Dude,
that's why horror movies exist and everyone in them has to you want them to die because they're so
you
terrible.
went to a werewolf movie and you were expecting something like horrifying, and the whole time it was just like some guy who was responsibly being a werewolf.
Yes. I mean, it's kind of like Teen Wolf, right? Like you get to see like the dad
Yeah.
from Teen Wolf. Like I do like the idea of just someone who's like, it would end up just being like a low key indie feature where it's just like it's a guy just like swiping on dating apps, taking the bus
Yeah.
to work. Like he has like
Mhm.
like normal troubles, and then it's just like a small chunk of the movie. It just happens to be the full moon.
He has very strict hours he can work, but
Yeah.
he's a good employee and he always shows up on time. Yeah. Like for me, I would want to like smart Hulk myself if I were a werewolf. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
would
Oh,
dedicate my life to science and figure out a way so that I could transform but still have my
oh,
mental
consciousness. Oh
consciousness. Yeah.
gosh, absolutely. If that were the case, I mean, imagine accidentally like hulking it. Like, imagine switching the consciousness. Like, that's something. No. How funny would that be in the Hulk?
Consciousness in your human body.
Yes, yes. Like, how funny? Like,
Whoops, got the wires crossed.
okay, how funny would that be if they did that with the Hulk, where Bruce Banner's just like smash? He's just like this like 160-pound like scientist nerd who's walking around like smashing things, and then like like and then he gets real mad. Then like he calms down because he goes to sleep or whatever, and then suddenly he grows into this like behemoth who's just like, I need to figure out how to switch our consciousness back. He's just in the lab.
Are you listening, Disney Plus? This is what we want to see. This give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want, please. Let me see. Okay, she said, what's your favorite version of Dracula and why? Do you have a favorite version of Dracula?
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Okay, like I feel like that movie is like criminally underappreciated for just like a few scenes. Like, I mean, obviously it's goofy as heck, but like one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when when Leslie Nielsen is trying to get the woman to stand up using like his mind, so he's like, you stand up, and then like the other woman stands up, he goes, no, sit down, then the other woman sits down, and he can't figure it out. He's talking to both women at the same time, and it's just like, oh, that movie, it's so stupid and perfect, and I love it. I love the like the absurd amount of blood in it when they stick the vampire. Yeah. It's just like all the blood keeps coming out. Oh, it's so good. My favorite, I think, is the what do you call it? The Monster Squad. Like I think that's my favorite Dracula, and I know it's not like the classic Dracula. It's not, like the Lugosi. It's not, there have been a lot of really cool well, like Christopher Lee. There have been a lot of really cool Draculas, but like
Christopher Lee, yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. Monster Squad has always been like my Dracula, and honestly, sincerely, those versions of all of the monsters are kind of my favorite. Like it's my favorite Wolfman, my favorite creature. Like
Yeah.
they're kind of my favorite.
Hotel Transylvania.
Just Adam Sandler. Oh
Yeah.
man. All right, let's see. So she says, "What's the progress update for the comic? We're drawing it." Steven's actually he's starting to make some really good progress.
I've finished 0 pages this week.
Sean has unfortunately not done his thing. My side of it, I completely finished writing all of issue 3. I've outlined all of issue 4, and I'm on like page 5 as far as writing or so. But I'm getting a significant chunk of page 4 done, or I'm sorry, issue 4 done. But issue 3 is like coming together, and Steven's drawings are so good and just keep getting better. And like I feel like he's on break now. Obviously, he's on vacation in New York, New Jersey, and I kind of feel like he needed it, so I'm glad he's taking it. And I feel like he's gonna come back kind of like reinvigorated, and we're gonna get it done. Which supernatural creature would be best for eating Twitter trolls, Sean? What do you think?
For eating Twitter trolls.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you go wrong with a werewolf? We were just talking about it.
Like, yeah. I mean, I'd like an intelligent werewolf to eat the Twitter troll.
I mean, all you're gonna do is show the werewolf like a trolly tweet. Just let it sniff it a little bit and then let it loose. You know what I mean? It's just like any well-trained dog.
I don't know. Like, I feel like it would be hurting itself because like that would be the silver lining of the troll interaction. No, it's funny. Speaking of silver linings of troll interactions, though, like recently I made a silly post. I was literally, Sean, I was in bed, woke up, yep. I was like, eyes barely open. It's a weekend, so I'm not like rushing out of bed. I'm like, it's early. I post some silly thing about how like I wish I could call my coffee and just be like the way the witch from Hocus Pocus calls it to her book, and like I was like, I wish it would be like my Mjolnir. And this random troll just decided to be like just like show up. And
I saw that guy. I saw that guy. Fuck that guy. He was like, "Oh yeah, if this is a sample of your writing, then thanks for saving me the trouble," or something like that.
Yeah. He used my like silly joke morning tweet that I posted like in bed just as just a goofy tweet as an example of why I'm a bad writer. And I was just like, you're a bad person. This is terrible. So anyway, Sean, I normally don't do this, but I just like screenshotted it and I like posted my response to him. And dude, it got so much attention, and I ended up getting like all these new followers. Now I have 16,000 followers and like all this stuff. And I was just like, this is great. And then he ended up deleting his profile. Like he ended up deleting his account.
Did he delete his profile? Yeah, oh my God, I didn't see that.
And it was
I think he clearly fucking exposed himself with that horrible take. And like, even if he felt that way, there was literally no reason to say it in a fucking quote tweet.
No. And like, it was so funny. And like, and it was, like for me, I like my response to him was simply just like, this is an unhinged response to my tweet, is an easy block. I was like, this is stupid. And that was all I was ever going to say to him. And then it was like, I see, and I learned other things from other people, like, like interacting with that.
He has a reputation as an asshole.
He does. Not only that, but then like Rance found his writing and was like, his published writing had a very obvious, not just typo, just blatant mistake in it, like unedited, like. Now, listen, I would never.
I love Rance so much.
I love Rance so much too, dude. Every time he's on your show, I'm just like, oh, freaking, I'm so glad. I love this guy. I do. I love Rance. He's one of those guys, like, he's one of those people I don't get a chance to interact with a lot personally. So then, like, when I see him, I'm like, but I always feel like it's like a delicious course. I'm like, yes, I freaking love this. Yeah. I love it. I love everything he has going on. But and it's also funny because like it's different from me as far as like a personality type. I was like, I don't respond to people that way most of the time. I'm not very combative anymore. Like Same. When I was younger, that was exactly what I did. Like when I was like in high school, and Steven knows it. And like it took me a while to like kind of like just turn from that and be like, I'm gonna try to focus on other things. I'm gonna like my response to that guy most of the time, I just block people and I just I like I don't need an echo chamber, but I'd prefer one. Like I definitely don't need that. Like I'm okay with my world being slightly smaller if that guy isn't in it. But Rance posted that, and I was just like, I never would have said anything about that had I seen that guy's writing. But it's so funny to see that after someone attacks you. Like
Yeah.
after the fact, I'm like, he's attacking me personally and my writing that he's never read and won't read and doesn't care about. I'm just like, what a weird troll. Feed him to a werewolf, please. And then a
Yeah.
werewolf ate him and he deleted his profile.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Chase Holdu. You can find my show, Don't Make It Weird, hosted by my friends Daniel and Dina on YouTube at DMIW Podcast. New episodes are posted every Monday.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Otherwise, I was just gonna sit here and ramble on about werewolves and nipples or whatever else. Come on, I only have so much of that in me. I have to save it because I don't know if people can tolerate it that much. So it's always a pleasure to talk to you, dude. Thank you so much. I
Pleasure's mine.
hope when we get our movie going, maybe we'll get on your show somehow to promote it because you're one of our best friends and the people who have like I don't know. It's where I feel the most comfortable. I know the parking situation of your show. I don't panic as much.
You have an actual a dedicated spot with a little plaque that says Anthony.
It makes me feel a lot better. No, and and to the credit of like our relationship, like I didn't feel like I didn't have the same amount of nerves I normally do when talking to people. Before we started doing this, I was still a little nervous. But it was
I am every time.
Yeah, but it was much better. I feel better. But yeah, dude, thank you so much, and thank you all for listening. If you made it this far in the episode, please go and subscribe to Don't Make It Weird podcast. I'll post all the links below. They really are amazing. They're so funny. If anything, just skip ahead to the cringy copulations, segment if you have to.
At the very least, watch all the episodes that Anthony and Steven were on. It's like 3 or 4 at this point.
Yeah, it's true. If you made it this far in our show because you like what we do, you're definitely going to like our appearance on or our appearances on that show. Steven anytime Steven just like gets set on fire, and like when that happens, like funny Steven is like my favorite person in the world. Like it's crazy. It's like it's so nuts. Like when we were on like Talking Tremors podcast and Steven started hitting his like stride, I was like, ooh, I'm sitting back here. Like I'm just gonna watch this happen.
Dude. Blueberry Wine Steven from the last time you guys were on our show was peak Steven for me.
Dude, he's so perfect. I can't I miss him and he's so great, but like it was incredible talking to you, dude. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for the invite. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Sean.
And this has been We Have Issues. We'll see you next time. Someone has to say boom.
Boom.
Before every show, I say, all right, Steven, is there anything that you'd like to talk about this week? Every week, without fail, 180 weeks in a row. Steven said, nah.
No. Well, I guess I answered correctly then.
It's always amazing.
Yeah, I figured I would not prepare anything at all. Just because I didn't have to. So
yeah, you really don't. It's always best that way. I prefer like Steven, like I outline everything I figure we'll talk about, and I just throw it to Steven. It just works. So
yeah.
I'm not gonna make you do songs or anything like that.
I did prepare several songs. I guess I'll just throw those out.
I'm gonna need you to throw those right in the garbage. I know you don't know this, but Steven only sings like pre-prepared songs that I write the lyrics to. Like people think, it's off the top of his head. Not the case. I write verbatim. Actually, every episode we have is meticulously scripted. Except for when we have guests,
all the ums and likes and all that's all in the script.
That's my second draft is just specifically adding ums. That's what I do. Like
is that what? Yeah. Is that what punching it up means? You just go through and add more natural like pauses and yeah.
Oh my god, okay. Yeah.